He was very loving boy. Loved his dad, his sisters, me.
It's been over 18 months since Lupita Garcia's son was killed in a training accident. 21-year-old Lance Corporal Marco Barranco drowned along with 8 other troops when his vehicle sank off the coast of Southern California in July 2020.
I do feel guilty a bit because I didn't look more into it. Maybe if I would have known that there was all these flaws, maybe all these accidents, I would have talked to my son about it.
Garcia wanted to meet at a park in Montebello, just east of LA, where her son's name was added to a local veterans memorial. Garcia is among a group of parents who have sat in the audience during a series of hearings at Camp Pendleton, hearings to determine whether some of the leaders involved that day will be kicked out of the Corps.
I believe in God. I have faith, and sometimes I just say this is what God wanted. Regardless, my son was gonna go, but I don't accept that I was in training. That's what really gets me so angry. Why in training?
July 30, 2020, 8 Marines and 1 sailor drowned while returning to the USS Somerset from San Clemente Island in an amphibious assault vehicle. Their unit was so far behind schedule that their ship had moved away to another exercise. Battalion Commander Lieutenant Colonel Michael Regner testified that in the confusion, he didn't understand which AAV was sinking. 45 minutes later, the assault vehicle with Garcia's son went under, with several troops still fighting to get out.
I don't feel like we're getting justice. They gave me thousands and thousands of pages that told me that they killed my child. We are responsible for this. But all I hear in these boards, they're going in circles, pointing fingers at each other.
Alita Bath is the mother of 19-year-old PFC Evan Bath of Wisconsin. She has been at nearly all of the hearings. At least 3 officers in charge that day have been allowed to stay in the Corps. Each officer said they told their commanders about problems. None of them stopped the exercise.
They're supposed to be Marines. But no one's taking responsibility, and no one is being held to be responsible. So me sitting in that chair, if nothing else, they have to look at me.
The Marines produced multiple reports pointing to serious lapses in training and equipment breakdowns. And this isn't the only accident. 60 Marines have died in training in the last 5 years. Congressman Seth Moulton of Massachusetts is on the House Armed Services Committee. Moulton is also a former Marine officer. He rode an AAV in combat. He says he and his platoon didn't feel safe riding inside the vehicle while it crossed a river leading into Baghdad 20 years ago.
This gets back to the culture. If I had that concern as a young second lieutenant 20 years ago, then why has the Marine Corps not satisfactorily addressed that since then?
It took another 18 months after the accident for the Marines to finally pull the aging AAVs from sea duty. Moulton says the harder question is whether the Marines can create a culture where officers feel empowered to halt an exercise when they see a problem. Nancy and Peter Vienna's son, Navy Hospital Corpsman Christopher Bobby Nem, drowned that day. Their son was one of the troops who was allowed in the exercise even though he hadn't passed his required swim test. Survivors told them what they saw.
The boys are in the dark. A couple of them had snuck their cell phones, which they weren't supposed to, but brought their cell phones. They're using their cell phones for light to try to see. And it wouldn't have mattered anyway because they never got egress training.
Technically, they aren't even Gold Star families. Congress reserves that title for families of those killed in combat, not training.
I'd rather have my son die in combat because I would have been prepared for this.
Yeah.
I would accept it so much more because I knew this was his job and he's going to battle. Or that's why people ask me why it's been almost 2 years. Why are you still mourning? I'm like, because I can't accept this. I don't get to have an open casket. I don't get justice.
You never saw him again.
I didn't get to tell him I love you. I didn't get to tell him be careful.
Steve Walsh, KPBS News.